All right, looks like we're going here. Hello and welcome, anyone tuning in. I am Alexi, and this is Back Again from the Broken Land, a Humble Fellowship's homecoming. This is a session being run through the Gauntlet Community Open Gaming event. So the Gauntlet is an online gaming community, lots of cool games happening there each and every month. You can learn more by checking out gauntlet-rpg.com or following the Gauntlet on Twitter at GauntletRPG. Gauntlet Community Open Gaming is a weekend we run a couple times a year where we kind of throw open the doors and give anyone who wants the chance to come and join and play some games with us. So definitely keep your ear out for the next Gauntlet Community Open Gaming if you're intrigued by the games we're playing here. Games like Back Again from the Broken Land. Back Again from the Broken Land is a game of small adventurers sharing stories on the long walk home from an epic war. It's a powered by the apocalypse game inspired by the more meditative stretches of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. The game was created by me and by my wife, Leah, who is a wonderful designer in her own right, and published by Cloven Pine Games. It first came out as a small feature in the Gauntlet Codex magazine. Codex is such a wonderful perk of the Gauntlet, putting out these cool little games or supplements for bigger games like Trophy and Brindlewood Bay. So, another reason to check out the Gauntlet is to get in on Codex. Then Back Again from the Broken Land was kickstarted as part of Zine Quest, and we're going to be playing the version that has, that has come out of that campaign, the kind of fuller zine version of Back Again from the Broken Land, with some cool new content. And I think we'll be highlighting some of those as we play this session out. If you're intrigued and want to get your hands on your own copy of Back In from the Broken Land, there is a place to pre-order it now, and I have put the link down below this video. Anyone, whether if you didn't back the Kickstarter but you want to get in on this action, there is a way now to pre-order a PDF or print copy of Back Again from the Broken Land. Okay, so that was my introduction. Let's meet our players. I'd love for folks to introduce themselves with their name, pronouns, online handle if you so desire, and anything else folks should know about you. I guess I should kick that off by saying I am Alexi, he, him, and my kind of gaming endeavors can all be found online under the handle Cloven Pine Games. Sabine, would you start us off?
Sorry, I didn't find my unmute button. My name is Sabine. I use any pronouns. I have been playing with the Gauntlet for a while now. I occasionally facilitate, but I don't record because I still have limited bandwidth. Still, I love being in these one-shot games, and I love the GCOG, the Gauntlet online gaming weekend thingy, and that is just always so much fun because you get to learn or see so much new stuff and see new faces and meet people you've read about maybe on the Slack but haven't actually played with before. So, yay.
Yeah, wonderful and great to have you here. Next up, Mark, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Mark. I use he or them pronouns. I've been a Gauntlet member for a few years and been playing RPGs since the mid 80s, I guess, off and on. I can be found online at my last name, wherever I write my own games and put them on itch, major.itch.io, I guess, Major Arcana. And I'm just super excited to play this. I realized after we did intros before this that I kickstarted this and have not had a chance to play it yet. So I'm looking forward to playing the game that I have sitting on my hard drive.
Fantastic. Yeah. Great to have you, Mark. Next up, Marley, please tell us a little about yourself.
I'm Marley, she, her pronouns. I was recruited to the Gauntlet on one of your conference open gaming weekends, exactly like this one a couple of years ago.
Nice.
And this has since I really enjoyed myself, so I decided to stick around, and this has become my pandemic hobby. So yes, it's really been interesting to see how many different ways people are taking these sorts of games I grew up on D&D and had a really narrow notion of what a game could be.
Hmm.
And I've been finding it's like, oh yeah, there's lots of different stuff out there, and I like some of it more than others, and like trying something new.
Wonderful, and great to have you, Marley. Last but not least, Shane, please tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Shane. I use she and her pronouns. I've been having a fantastic weekend at GCOG, playing lots of great games. Yesterday was a game of quite intense horror and anxiety in all the games. So I'm looking forward to a more meditative pace here, but also I think that this may be low-key the most terrifying of all the games. So
Yeah,
looking forward to both those aspects.
there's got to be moments of camaraderie and sharing meals, right? And then there's also the moments when the hunters turn up and you realize you are very small people in comparison to what is left of the Doomslord's army. So in fact, let's get right into it. We're going to make some choices about the backstory of our characters here. We are picking things from this backstory list, which you can find in the backstory tab of the Character Keeper, and I will read from the little script we've got here. One of the things that we expanded for the zine version of this game. So, the war is over, and the Doomslord is defeated. But who was the Doomslord? Sabine, would you pick for us from the list for who was the Doomslord? And you can just choose something that appeals to you, or if you want, roll a dice and let fate have its say.
And that's the backstory, right?
In the tab of the backstory.
Ooh, living storm, spurned air. These are all great. I will go with the living. No, I will go with the spurned air. Or no, I'm going with the living storm. I'm sorry. I like the living storm.
Living storm is awesome. Okay, so the Doomslord was a living storm. Fantastic. Any other detail you have in mind for that, or we'll learn more as we answer the rest of the questions?
I can give you some details because I actually played a character in the Twilight Throne a while ago, who was a storm mage and might have become conceivably a living storm, and they were. Well, they were very self-involved and wanted to kickstart the world, but that's not what they wanted. That's for someone else to say. I think they were mortal once, but gave all their mortality just to become this living storm to further their own agenda better.
I love that. I love the idea that
they might have lost a loved one, but that's or maybe not. Who knows? They gave that up anyway.
I love the idea that the Doomslord, ascended to being a living storm, if that's really a step up per se, but they left behind a mortal existence to become this thing. Fantastic. Armies fell against the Doomslord. Powerful magic failed. Your fellowship is nothing compared to both the Doomslord and the forces that oppose them. But the threat was so terrible that you had to do something, however small. Mark, I turn to you. What did the Doomslord seek?
These are all great. I think I really like for the Living Storm an end to time.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So this being, right, once mortal, now a living storm, seeking an end to time itself. I think
that's maybe like trying to cement its immortality by ceasing time to be a thing anymore.
Right. Like no more time, just storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. The Doomslord had many terrible powers. What was the worst of the Doomslord's weapons? Marley, would you make a pick for me from that?
Sure. I am going to go with their terrible shadow. I'm not exactly sure what that means in the context of a living storm, but I'm sure it is terrible.
Oh man, I love that. It feels like maybe like even beyond where the storm is raging, like the shadow of the storm can be cast, and this has some kind of a
Yeah, it exists
supernatural
in
effect.
multiple places, and somehow it pulls this other part out of it, out of the ether. It's not just a natural storm at that point. It has some sort of miasma qualities to it.
Oh yeah, 100%. That sounds great. You set out together from your home. In your travels, you saw people and lands you had only heard legends of, and even some things whose existence had never even been imagined in your small, quiet land. What is your hometown characterized by? Shane, will you make a choice for me from this list?
Yeah, I was going to go with something more sort of dark and creepy, but now that I know we're returning from this like living storm with its terrible shadow that wanted to destroy time, I just want to get back to some nice green rolling hills and houses covered in plant life.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good to me as a place that these companions could have come from. Is it, I guess, is it kind of cultivated plant life that covers the houses, or is it just, you like built houses in this area that's so mossy that's just what happens?
I mean, I think there's a combination. I definitely think there's some nice topiary and hedgework and things like that. But also
some gardening.
a lot of but a lot of just natural plant life as well.
Fantastic. I love it. Wherever you went, you were among the smallest and humblest of the people who were drawn into the war. Some of the friends you made urged you to turn back, but little as you were, you had an important role to play. You may not be remembered in the stories, but it was what your band did that let the heroes of the day win the final victory. Let me jump back over. So, Sabine, will you tell me a little about, or we'll make a choice here from what quest drew you from your hometown?
I think what we had to do is we had to transport the true name of the Doomslord to someone with the wisdom to use it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense, because if the Doomslord was mortal once and then became this living storm, their true name could be like a secret from their mortal existence. And for some reason, that knowledge ended up in the hands of this small group of people, and they had to, yeah.
Maybe they lived before where we live now before they became Living Storm.
Wow.
Maybe they were one of us once. Who knows?
Wow. Yeah. And you had to bring that name to folks who knew how to use the magic of true names. Fantastic.
And that's why we were the ones who knew the true name.
I think that makes a lot of sense. All right. Now, the laurels are being distributed. The bodies are being buried. Eventually, the earth must be tilled even here at the site of the final battle, and new growth brought forth. But although the war is won and the Doomslord defeated, some of their creatures still walk the world. And let's establish a couple things about the hunters. Mark, tell me, what makes the Doomslord's hunters too dangerous to fight?
I was thinking commanding the element of nature, but I think I actually want to go with when you strike one down to spring back up.
Yeah, that
good.
does make them too dangerous. Okay. And separately, there's another question. What makes the hunters too terrifying to face? Marley, are you up to make a pick from this list for me?
Sure. Oh, wow. These are all great. Where by great, I mean terrible. But, they inhale happiness and exhale despair.
Oh, yeah, that's so bad. So these were the servants of the Doomslord, the living storm, and they have these properties where you strike one down, two more spring back up, and they inhale happiness and exhale despair. Just to help me finish picturing them, I'm going to ask Shane to provide like one detail of the physical appearance of these hunters. Yeah, putting you on the spot. This isn't a list, but I'm trying to make sure I have like a picture in my head of these terrifying things.
I mean, I think it's that like they have this sort of spectral form that's layered over their physical form. You know, they're mortal. The corporeal arms come at you, swing at you, but also the ghastly ones that seem impossible to stop.
I love it, and that kind of nicely fits with the idea of the like terrible shadow of the Doomslord here. Well, despite the dangers, your fellowship of companions must now make your way home, carrying with you both the news of the victory and also its costs. You walk together, but each one of you bears your own stories and your own burdens. You will need to be swift, keen, and true to make your way back again from the Broken Land. Let's meet these companions now that we've established things about our backstory. Let's find out who our fellowship will be. So, Sabine, you are starting us off. Will you tell us a little bit about your character?
Sure. I am playing Lobelius Muckleburn. Now, probably folks call him Lobby, not Lobelius, but yeah, well. He uses he, him pronouns. Lobelius is the bodyguard. That kind of happened because I think Lobelius is pretty strong and steadfast. Lobelius was an innkeeper. Used to be an innkeeper. Or innkeepers. Yeah, no, he was an innkeeper. But you know.
And then the needs of this quest drew him away from his inn to venture out into the wider world.
Yeah, well, maybe something happened to the Muckleburn Sparrow, and then he felt that he had to do something, right?
And what you have as far as your gear and your gaze and your gift, you have leather armor, the worse for wear. Your gaze is silent and steady, and your gift is the softest boots. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, they're useful. They're useful, I say.
Is that leather armor something that like had been in his family, or something that he had to acquire to set off on this journey?
I think it was something that was in his family. He wasn't aware of it, but his sister, his younger sister, when she learned that he was going out, she was equipping him with stuff, and one part of that was that she found this old leather armor. She said it was in her attic. I'm not so sure, but you know.
That's fantastic. I love that, and that's good fodder there to be explored in Stories of Home if you get the chance to tell those. Anything else we should know about Lobelius before we meet the next of our companions here?
I think we'll learn more about him during play, because I could tell you all kinds of stories, but I think that we should do that in play.
Totally, yeah. That's the spirit of this game, indeed. That there are moves that will prompt you to tell a story, and that will be part of how we find out who these characters are.
Just one thing. Yes. He has a burden that is the one you couldn't save, and I love that. I don't know who that was, but I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, next we turn to you. Will you tell us, please, about your companion?
Yeah, I am Largo Stumbletoe, the burglar. I've got a secret pocket full of silver on me, and someone gave me a simple lock of their hair. And my gaze is intense and inquiring. I also start with a burden that is a perilous prize, which I'm really eager to find out what that peril is. That sounds super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Was the gaze is intense and inquiring. So there's just like a real sense that you're being given the once over whenever you're talking to Largo here.
Yeah, I think Largo is just like over present when you're with him, which I think leads to clumsiness in other matters, perhaps. But he's like when he's talking with you, he's talking with you.
Nice.
Or paying attention to you one way or the other.
That's very good. And Scrolling down, yes, we have pictures for some of these characters. That's wonderful. Love that. Love Lobelius. Love Largo. Fantastic. Anything else we should know about Largo, or shall we meet the next of our companions?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of playing to find out. So let's, looking forward to finding out.
Fantastic. Marley, please tell us about your character.
So this is Gillie Dewfoot, she, her. She is in fact our wanderer, the wayfarer, who has the burden of wanderlust.
Yes.
So she has probably of the whole group started out with the most knowledge of navigating in the greater world, at least in the natural world. Does not come home very often.
Yeah.
And as soon as she does, she starts to get restless to leave. But her family and the elders do have a way of contacting her in the case of an emergency, which is what happened here.
Oh, okay. So she was actually called back from a different wandering in order to go on this journey with these other companions.
Yes.
Nice. You have carefully cleaned handmade boots. You have a cool and critical gaze, and your gift is a drink from a distant river. Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. It is always important to hydrate.
And the handmade boots, are those boots you made yourself, or is there someone else who made them for you?
I think they started out made by someone else, but they have been repaired so many times, mostly by her, because that was what was available all this time, that at this point, not much of the original material is left.
It's the boots of Theseus.
The boots of Theseus, in fact.
Nice. Fantastic. Anything else we should know about Gillie, or shall we meet the last of these companions?
I think she had in her picture.
Ooh, yes.
One of the scars on her face when she started, but not all of them.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So she's got more scars, after the way all of this played out. Fantastic. All right. Then Shane, will you tell us please about your character?
Just as soon as I unmute myself, yes. I am playing Dittany the He is the Turncoat. He was loyal to the Doomslord at one point, but switched sides at the 11th hour, and I guess is hoping for some redemption. I don't know what to tell you about him. I think that he still, he was kind of this villainous figure most of his life, and he's still given to this sort of cackling supervillain laughter that breaks down into quiet sobs as he remembers all of it.
Oh, man. Wow. Dittany Theogast. You've got a brand on your cheek. You've got a dark and devious gaze, and your gift is a cooling breeze you can't leave behind.
That's right.
That's ominous since we went through the living storm, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a gale force wind, right? It's a cooling breeze, and maybe there's some important difference there. But we can play to find that out too. You came back at the 11th hour, so there's a sense that when the time really counted, you assisted this fellowship, and now you are coming home with them. But maybe there's still a question of who exactly will accept you when you get back home.
Exactly.
Nice.
I'm burdened by, what was it? A further still secret betrayal.
Shh. Yeah, that'll be exciting to learn about. Great. Well, we've got our group of adventurers here who have played their role, delivering the secret name of the Doomslord to those who have the knowledge of how to use it. And now, in the aftermath of that great battle and the fall of the Doomslord, now the time has come to return home. Oh, I should scroll down to show our turncoat, since we've pulled out that great art as well. So I think I think our story begins with our companions making their way through the wreckage of the slag-scarred bastion, a place that bore the brunt of this this living storm of the Doomslord in one of these great battles. And so I would like for us to to paint this scene together. I'm going to have each of you say something about kind of what we first see of your companion, and also give me a detail of what terrible things you've heard about what happened at the Slag-scarred Bastion. So this is something where not all the details were clear to everyone, but everyone's heard some rumors about it. We'll say it's we get an establishing shot. From further up, we see these towers and ramparts of this bastion that have been blasted by the elements, and some of them are like leaning haphazardly against each other. And then we kind of see four small figures making their way through the rubble. Lobelius, tell me kind of how we first see Lobelius moving through the landscape, and then tell me what you've heard of the terrible things that are said to have happened here.
Yeah, so Lobelius is walking carefully, like he doesn't precisely trust the ground under his feet. He is carrying a lot of stuff like pans and pots and probably a lot of oh, come on, what's the word? I'm missing a word. I'm sorry. I have to look it up.
You think you have provisions?
I'm stuck on words. Provisions. That's the word. Yes, right. Thank you. Provisions and water. Lots of water, because what Lobelius has heard is that the water on this plane has been tainted by the living storm's shadows. So if you drink it, you might have weird dreams and visions and see things that aren't there. So he's cautious and will boil everything and drink. Yeah. And also, of course, the best thing you can do is drink beer from the homeland, but we don't have any left.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, as Lobelius picking his way through, looking askance at any little rivulets or water sources in this whole area. Largo Stumbletoe. Tell me a little about kind of what we first see of Largo moving through this space, and what Largo's heard about the terrible things that have been done in the Slag-scarred Bastion.
Yeah, I think since this was a huge battle site, there's walls that are scarred by lightning and boulders thrown around and stuff, and Largo is picking his way kind of circuitously, I guess, around. He's not one to be out in the open for very long if you can help it. So almost scouting, I think. I don't want to step on Gilly's job, but not being seen out ahead, but isn't probably too far ahead, because he does stop. There are a lot of casualties of the battle still on the battlefield. But maybe they've been crushed by a boulder or something, so they haven't been be taken away properly. And he is keeping an eye out for anything that might be useful on the walk home.
Yeah. Someone's got to make use of these things.
Yeah, they're not using
them. That is great. I can definitely see Largo doing that, that type of scouting. Gillie, tell me a little about what we see, Gilly's approach to the Slag-scarred Bastion, and tell me one thing, she heard as a rumor of terrible things done in this place.
So, since we are in a movie, we see a dramatic close-up of Gillie against a cloudy sky, interesting cloud formations and all, wind whipping her hair in an aesthetic fashion. And she is scanning the landscape, because what she has heard is that the ground was so poisoned that it no longer supports life.
Hmm.
And she's looking for some sign of hope. And she pauses briefly and moves forward quickly and silently, not because she is sneaking, that's just how she moves. And she crouches down and she sees one tiny little buttercup poking up through the flagstones, the scarred flagstones. And she opens her canteen and she carefully waters it just a little.
Oh, and is this her just like normal canteen, or is this her special gift that has a drink from a distant river in it?
Oh, it's probably her special gift. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, I love that. And so so we see the like droplet fall to kiss this little buttercup, and like maybe it seems almost like the flower is grateful for this gift you've given it. Dittany, what do we see of you're moving through this place, and what terrible things have you heard rumors of in this place?
Yeah, so Dittany has this kind of little shuffling walk, and he has his cloak drawn very tight around him because sometimes that cooling breeze is a gift, but somewhere as cold as this, it just hurts. And he's trying not to think about the cold. But he does let out he does sort of suppress a little chuckle once in a while as he remembers the terrible things that he was involved in here.
Oh.
But then the shame overcomes him, and he, shuffles on silently, sadly. In particular, he remembers that this is where the hunters cut down the great human king and massacred him, I think in front of his children.
Oh, wow. Bad. That's a terrible thing indeed. So the four of you are making progress as described, right? Keeping your eyes out, Lobelius, for water, and not trusting any water here, but presumably pressing your companions to partake of the canteens you're carrying too, right? Largo finding anything that might be useful, peeking out from under one of these boulders. Gillie, you feel you've done right by helping that single tiny buttercup there, whereas Dittany has this is doing his strange little laugh as he walks across the stained flagstones, right? And the kind of next notable thing that breaks in here is a kind of harsh voice coming from the top of one of these broken bits of wall from the bastion, and the voice says, "Halt, you four! Don't move another muscle."
I will move another muscle and step in front of the group, basically trying to cover everyone I can. I'm not that tall, I'm not that big, but still.
I said be still.
Gillie has also learned that when someone says don't move another muscle, that's very rarely the correct advice to take, and immediately drops and rolls until she's behind a broken piece of wall
Nice.
as cover, and starts to ready her bow just in case.
Love this. You're the Wayfinder. You can do that. I believe you. So I think the the upshot is, right, there's there's the voice again saying, hang on, there were four of you a moment ago.
Yeah, who are you anyway? Why are you telling us what to do? Right? Who are you? Why? We're just travelers. We just want to go home.
We are sentinels. Yes, yes. And there's a second voice, comes from around the same spot. Yes, and we have an important job.
Congratulations. Good. Important jobs are good. Yeah. So can we leave now? We just
No.
Why
no,
not?
You cannot leave.
What are we supposed to do then?
We need to know your business.
If we're going home.
There are still servants of the Doomslord about, and they can be crafty. They can be sneaky. We're told they take on shapes that seem innocent and non-threatening.
Huh. I'm not looking at Dittany. Oh no, I'm looking at Dittany.
I just like quietly like pull my cloak like that little bit deeper over my face.
Well, we're not servants of the Doomlord, so
Prove it. Prove you're not servants of the Doomslord.
Okay, I can probably cook you a meal. Can a servant of the Doomslord cook you a meal? Probably not. So that proves it.
There's some like clearly like hushed discussion from up at the top of this little wall as the sentinels are clearly conferring about whether or not cooking a meal constitutes proof you are not a servant of the Doomslord. Gilly, I want to check in with you just to see if you're kind of doing anything proactively since you kind of made it to cover. Your companions are engaged in a conversation with the sentinels. So I'm just checking anything that you do here.
She is probably in as much as she can, sort of working her way to a better position, just in case this does become a fight. But hoping that Lobelius has the skills to keep things from escalating.
Nice. If you wanted to, we could say that you're gazing into the distance, just because that is a move in this game when you gaze into the distance to search your environment for memories or answers. Yeah.
Okay.
This is it's an interesting move because you don't roll dice for this one. It's just one where you first describe what fragment of loveliness in the landscape has caught your eye, then ask one from the gaze into the distance list. Honestly, you did describe a fragment of loveliness already with that buttercup. Though feel free if you want to add to that. What are you thinking?
Sure. There is a great deal of broken stone around, but in this one place there is a sculpture that has remained partially intact. It has been knocked over and all, but you can tell that the sculpture was very accomplished, and some of the work is preserved. Nice.
I love so a very literal fragment of loveliness. If this like partial sculpture is left here. All right, to ask one of these questions of me.
How can I make peace here?
That
the most obvious.
That is the crucial question. The sentinels that have accosted you, are focused on trying to hunt these servants of the Doomslord, and they say that they could assume one of these forms. I think one possibility that occurs to you is if the sentinels were distracted with a kind of more were distracted with something that seemed more like it might be a servant of the Doomslord, they might just leave you and your companions alone to chase after that. So I'll put that out there as a possibility that occurs to Gilly as she's gazing into the distance. Does that work for you?
Sure, though then the obvious follow-up question is, am I aware of any servants of the Doomlord? Or would this be a frame job? Because I'm not so sure Gilly does frame jobs.
I mean, there's always the old, knock something down to create, create a like distracting noise elsewhere or whatever, right?
Oh, that quick. Just like a short distraction. Okay.
We might also accuse one of them of being one of the lords and have them pointed at each other, trying to see who's what.
Interesting interpretation of what it means to make peace somewhere, but that perhaps is what occurs to the burglar. Cool. Let's say that the voice comes back down and says, "All right, we'll put you to the test. Make us a meal, a wholesome meal, mind you, and we'll know you're not overshadowed by the Doomslord. But we will bring the ingredients."
I mean, okay, I can make a meal of a lot of things. Yeah, and to the meal, I will tell you a story about how I once cooked a meal from a mushroom.
Beautiful. So yeah, I think what we get is like a door opens in the base of this wall. A couple of these armored sentinels come out. One of them like opens up a little sack, shakes it out onto a stone slab that looks like a workable table, and it's just a few like withered turnips and some like block of bread that sounds like a rock hitting a rock when it lands. So like extremely unprepossessing rations are what they've put out for you.
That is a challenge.
Yeah, potentially. I'm gonna go ahead and say let's take a 10-minute break here. Be back at 15 past the hour, and then we'll pick up and see how things develop. All right. See you all soon. Hey, how's everybody doing? Good. We are all here then. So, yeah, when we left for the break, the Sentinels had come down, out of their outpost to stand over you, companions. They're definitely taller than you are, so they're kind of looking down at you, wearing their armor. It's definitely seen better days, but they are armed and have this bag full of unprepossessing provisions that they have poured out in front of Lobelius in response to his offer to cook a meal, and so prove that that you are trustworthy. Largo, you've had the chance to to see how this has begun, and I was wondering, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think he is. He doesn't want to make them angry, but he does want to. Do we recognize these as someone who was fighting on our side, or are these just guys that we haven't encountered the like of before?
Yeah, I think you recognize them as soldiers of the human kingdom that held the Slagsgard Bastion, and so and underwent the kind of siege from above, as it were, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is the thing. A castle is not designed to be besieged by a living storm, and so there's only so many of them left to try and rebuild this place. But these two seem to take their role very seriously. That they're ferreting out remaining agents of the Doomslord.
Can you tell me a little bit about what the name a burden move looks like, or would that be appropriate
absolutely.
for something here?
If you so desire, yeah. So when you have a quiet moment, you may remember and name one of your burdens if it feels right. How does your outward behavior shift? So you can anytime you've got an unnamed burden waiting to be named, and you have a moment of quiet to kind of think about it in character, we can hear like what name you're giving to that till heretofore nameless weight your character's been carrying.
Yeah. I think, while they're kind of like grumbling around and waiting for the meal to be cooked, I kind of, not sneakily, but kind of just like sidle up to them, and sort of start in with, it seems like you've weathered, you've weathered a terrible storm here, but you're still here. We four are also stormbreakers, and we have traveled a long way to aid in the fight, and now we just want to return home. And I think the unnamed burden is that one of our fallen companions, maybe someone who came with us, maybe not a small person, but maybe someone else who's traveling with us.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
They were taken by the storm, and before they died, they requested that I take a lock of their hair back to our home and use it in a garden. And that's why the food that we cook for you comes not only from the land, but from the memories of the people who we've lost.
That's awesome. So do you think that is the name of the burden a companion taken by the storm?
Yeah, like a fallen companion.
Or is the burden a task to be fulfilled? Is the burden the task that remains to safely bring this lock of hair home?
Yeah, bringing a fallen companion home. How about
that? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the one of the guards seems to soften at this and says, indeed, we've seen many friends fall. we can sympathize. I'm Rollins. This is Hulim. And then Hulim interrupts and says, "Don't just give out our names like that willy nilly. You don't have any evidence this story is real. Everyone claims, oh, we were Stormbreakers. We were essential to the fall of the Doomslord. But you can't just be so credulous, right?" And so they kind of have this little argument themselves, prompted by your disclosure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I pull out the lock of hair and say, maybe you've heard tales of the hero Elegrim. This was the lock of hair that she made me to bring to our home.
Nice.
It's like a silvery, like it's human hair, or humanish, whatever it is. But it's like long and silvery, like not dry hair, but it still feels soft and alive almost.
Yeah, I think like despite themselves, maybe both of them are a little fascinated and kind of staring at this hair you've presented.
Yeah, it's clearly not from one of us.
I like that. Lobelius, I want to ask you what are you doing? Presented with these withered turnips and rock hard bread.
I mean, what can you do, right? Sometimes you have a whole boar and a good harvest of potatoes and and apples, and sometimes you have turnips and a stale bread. So this is nothing that I have not dealt with before. I will heat some water and put in some spices, because you have to have spices, right? You can't journey without spices. It's getting a bit thin by now, the spices, but there's some left. And turnips have some flavor, even those. So I will cook us up some. Well, it will be stew, right? Because what else can you do with this, actually? But I have pre-cooked the water. It is fine. It is not poisoned. And I will tell them a story about, when we had some lean times in our homeland, and then there was a wedding. And they said, "Hey, Muckleburn, you can cook us a wedding feast fit for 20, right?" And I was like, "From what? Okay, I'll try." And, I cooked them a wedding feast. That wasn't much better than this. We had turnips, lots of turnips, because they always grow, and some potatoes. You don't have potatoes, that's odd. Anyway, and the thing that makes a meal like this go down easier is, of course, some beer, but we don't have that here. And also stories, right? I'm not the greatest storyteller. I can tell you that. I'm a cook. I'm not a storyteller. But you fine folks here, you look like you have a lot of stories to share, right? You've defended this immense castle, and I feel that that is certainly worth a song, isn't it? You have a song about that, don't you?
Nice. So it feels like we're getting close to rolling share a meal, because you have described how you've tried to enliven the rations, and you've told a story of home. This wedding you had to cater. It sounds like in a somewhat shorthanded fashion, and you're trying to draw them into sharing songs of their own. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically.
I think kind of as you discuss the need for beer to accompany this, the guard Rollins pulls out a flask from his belt, and shares it first just with his fellow guard, but then eventually it gets passed around to the three of you, and this helps them feel in the mood to share some kind of song. It's a very martial song, right? But they do sing a little bit as the stew is being ladled out. Lobelius, would you for me roll plus true to see how this meal goes? And I put a dice roller link into the chat. There we go.
Oh, that's a horrible roll. I rolled a 5.
Yeah, you rolled a 3 total,
Yeah, I'm
plus
happy.
2 true. Even with your
Yeah.
plus 2 true, it's only a 5.
Yeah.
Ooh, so let's check in. On a miss for Sharamuel, it says you feast too long and something overtakes you. So there's that. There is a help move called Pull Together. When you want to protect a fellow companion from the results of their roll, 2 other members of the fellowship may each take an unnamed burden, and the original companion may re-roll one of their dice. The new roll stands, be it better or worse. This is tough, right? Because like you'd re-roll that 1 presumably, and if it gets if you get 3 or more, we can push this up to a hit, I think. Yeah, so it's possible, but of course it could still could still be a miss even after those burdens if luck does not favor you. Dittany and Largo, I feel like you are perhaps best equipped to help Lobelius.
Yeah, I'm happy to take an unnamed burden for that.
You would take an unnamed burden to help? Dittany, what do you think?
I'm gonna buckle under the weight if I take another burden. Yeah.
Is that right? Do you take a burden?
You take a 5th burden.
You buckle it when you yes, when you take a 5th burden, you would buckle under the weight. That is interesting. Are you going to do it, or are you going to?
I don't know. I guess I look to Lobelius to see, like, I can see that this meal is not coming together how you'd hoped. Like, do you look back at me like it'll be okay, or do you look back at me like, please help me out here?
I think I look back at you kind of challenging you to do something useful.
To do the right thing for a change.
Yeah, do the right thing for a change.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, then I will take on a 5th burden.
Okay, and when you take a 5th burden, choose one. Lash out at a companion in anger, admit a terrible nightmare or premonition about your homecoming, or push yourself past your limits. Take disadvantage on your next roll.
All right. And if I admit a terrible nightmare or premonition, am I doing that in character or out of character, or I get a choice?
I think it's most interesting in character. If you want it to be a like internal monologue thing, we can work with that. But I think it's most interesting if it's an admission that we hear.
So in that case, I want to like sort of walk over to where I know that Gillie went to hide.
Oh, nice.
And under my breath, sort of say, "You can come out from there now." Obviously, if anyone gets hurt here, it's going to be me. I mean, I just, I can feel it. Nobody is ever going to believe in me or trust me again. Everyone forever is just going to see me as an outcast, a villain, a traitor.
That's awesome. Gillie, do you come out at Dittany's invitation, or otherwise respond to the premonition he's sharing?
Gillie will say, someone needs to keep guard or keep watch since the sentinels are no longer doing it. If you are wishing an evening of merriment, go back to the fire. If you wish an evening of self-pity, you may stay here, but do it quietly.
Oh man, some tough love here.
It's harsh because clearly I do want an evening of self-pity, but well, I definitely mutter something under my breath as I go back to help Lobelius.
Nice. And Largo, I feel like we kind of, in some ways, already have the fiction for you helping Lobelius. Just you were the one who chatted up the Sentinels. Do you want to add anything to that, or do you think that
may
covers?
have also come across some like an onion or a potato that they didn't bring out. Like, oh yeah, I just happen to have this that I found along the way. I'll be good.
Nice. And you're just laying on the charm so as to get Lobelius one non-withered root vegetable to add into the soup. I buy it. So Lobelius, let's see if this paid off after all. Roll one more dice and see.
Okay,
and we'll replace your 1 with this new dice.
Okay, I have no modifier on this.
Single d6, which we will slot into the previous roll to see if this help has paid off.
Come on, be nice.
That's a 7.
It's a 3, yes.
Yeah,
Barely,
3.
but
3 plus 2 plus 2, we get up to 7. On a 7 to 9. So on any hit, peace and fellowship reign at your table. You may clear a named burden. That's awesome.
Have one named burden. I only have one named burden. Can I keep it? I like it. Sorry, but I like this burden.
That's fair. If you want to name another burden kind of right now and clear it, we could say that you have a moment to name a burden as you're cooking and then clear that one if you'd prefer to keep your other burden.
The one you couldn't save, come on, as a bodyguard, that's kind of a natural.
You gotta hang on
I will
to that.
name the other body. Will name my other burden, and that is that. That is that I made a mistake with an ingredient because I wasn't familiar. I wasn't familiar with the vegetation, and I think maybe that Gilly stopped me at the final, but before it became something terribly much worse. But there was a mistake I made.
Oh, nice. So this is there was a time early in the journey maybe where you were preparing food using ingredients you found, and Gilly stopped you from poisoning everyone by accident.
Yeah, exactly. It just looked like a mushroom. It had a cap and all, and it was kind of brightly colored.
It probably was a mushroom, just not one of the ones you're
yellow.
supposed to eat.
You want the yellow ones. These are the orange ones. It's very different.
Yeah.
Oh, but I like orange. Okay.
No, but they don't taste like oranges.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the name of that burden before you clear it? Is it a cooking mistake? Almost poisoned
everyone. Yeah,
go for it. Great name. All right. And the other effect, so yes, peace and fellowship reign at your table. I think what you get from that is the guards do loosen up. They enjoy the stew. They sing their songs and share stories with you, and kind of by the end of the meal they are no longer kind of asking pointed questions and trying to find out if you're the Doomslord's servants. They're just enjoying their time with you. The other effect of 7 to 9, one other partaker may add a detail and clear a named burden, but someone else is conspicuously silent. What's troubling them? I wonder which of us is the conspicuously silent one.
I mean, it could be Largo as to the origins of that potato he got from somewhere, and maybe Dittany loses up a little at least when at least the guard.
All right.
The guards don't know about what he did, so.
Yeah, should we do that then? What do you think, Dittany? Is it possible that you loosen up enough to clear a burden? And again, since you've got so many unnamed burdens, you can name and clear one if that's what you'd prefer to do here.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm tempted to name one self-pity after Gilly's response before, but I don't think he's ready to let go of his self-pity yet. So I think that maybe the burden that he does let go here is his villainous demeanor. He's been walking around cackling in this, side of tragedy. And maybe it has sort of come home as he shares a meal with these sentinels, these people who have experienced tragic losses, that he can't just keep behaving like this. So I'd like to say that he recognizes his villainous demeanor as a burden, and he lets it go.
That's wonderful. And Largo and the move also prompts you to add a detail to the story of home. Is this story that is there a detail you want to add to Lobelius's story about this wedding that had to be kind of pulled together in in a kind of hasty fashion?
I mean, I think the detail is that, like, I was never invited to the wedding. Like, the villainous demeanor wasn't new when he was, like, corrupted by the Doomslord. Like, he's never been welcome, exactly.
He's always been this, kind of hard to trust character.
That sort of lonely isolation was how the Doomslord could get his hooks in.
Absolutely. Largo, we've decided that you're the one who is conspicuously silent. What is troubling you here?
Yeah, I think that I'm not a compulsion, but a habit of picking up useful things. And I think, that potato or onion was definitely like in one of the small sacks that the guards were carrying that weren't offered. And I think the worry he has is that, like, oh, we seem to have made friends with these guys, and if they find out I stole something from them, that's gonna be bad. So I'm just like trying to keep to myself about that.
Yeah. As this is going on, you are keeping watch, Gilly. You see, like, a decent ways away, such that your companions and the sentinels both don't see it. A figure moving through this landscape. In fact, she's right near that broken statue you had taken note of. A human woman wearing armor. Clearly used to be bright, shining armor, but is now definitely tarnished and worn. And she has this sack slung over her back, this now very full sack, and she's stooping to pick up a helmet on the ground and add it into this sack. And that at this point she's now carrying this thing in a way that makes it seem like she's going to collapse under its weight any moment. So you take that in, like that is something that you notice that before anyone else does. Let me ask you, what do you do?
So first off, the hunters, this is not a hunter. A hunter does not behave like this, correct?
This doesn't look like a hunter. The hunters have this spectral form layered over them, and they inhale happiness and exhale despair. This person definitely seems burdened by despair, but you don't feel like they're breathing despair out into the world the way the hunters do.
Gilly will suddenly appear by the fire.
The sentinel's like, whoa! Oh, it's the other one of them. Wait! What are you doing here? Wait! What? Hold on! And they look to the companions to get confirmation that Gilly's with you.
Yeah, that's Gilly. She's keeping watch.
She turns and says, "Lobelius, may I have a bowl of stew?"
Of course, yes. Of course. I've set some aside for you, Gilly.
Thank you. She takes it and she disappears again. And she goes some distance away from the looter. And she makes a noise. It's a conscious effort for her, but she can in fact make her footsteps audible. So.
Nice. So instead of your kind of sneaky walk, it's a deliberately audible walk.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. The moment after you disappear, by the way, Rollins, the guard, is like, is she always like that?
Yes, she's always like that.
Always the surprises.
Mm-hmm. That's what more stew.
Fantastic. So Gilly, yeah, you make this audible noise. You look to see the reaction of this newcomer. She's
Mm-hmm.
clearly like notices the noise. She kind of like with effort sets down the heavy burden and straightens up, hand on a sword at her side, moving kind of suspiciously in the direction of the noise you've made.
Gilly, I think Gilly doesn't like to talk when she doesn't have to. So she just, she's standing in, she steps into a moonbeam so she can be seen. And she holds out the bowl of stew. And then she puts it on a rock. And then she backs away.
Nice. A peace offering.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be up to roll for me negotiate an obstacle here, unless there's another move you think applies? Because this kind of is
I don't know the system.
Yeah,
if that's the move, then that's the move.
I don't think it's your special Wayfinder move, because it's not about a wild animal. It's about this this person. So negotiate an obstacle. This is a catch-all move. When you negotiate an obstacle, say how you're approaching it and roll plus swift, plus keen, or plus true, whichever is most appropriate. So I'm thinking this is like the obstacle of establishing some kind of a rapport with a person who doesn't necessarily trust you in the midst of this broken landscape. If you would roll plus true seems most appropriate, though of course as the Wayfinder you are a jack of all trades and all of your stats are the same.
Okay, very convenient.
Yeah, when I ran this game on +1 forward, where Rich always plays a character who has all +1 stats, I was like, there's a playbook for you already here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I rolled an 8.
All right, nice. 79, Jim will present you with a tricky choice or a price to pay. Nice. Yeah, so the woman will approach, eye the soup you've put out. She picks it up. She says, "What's your story, little friend?" And it's clear she's not going to eat it till she hears something like an answer.
She sits down on a nearby rock, because one of the other nice things about someone holding a bowl of stew is that they are then not holding their sword.
That's true.
So she just says, like many, I was called to fight the Dark Lord, and now I'm going home.
She kind of gives you a critical look. And that's where you want to go? Home?
For a time. I have family there I'd like to see.
I am going to see family too, I suppose. Jerks a fist over her shoulder at the bag she's been gathering. The helms of my brother and sister knights. Only a fellow knight of the Brighthelm Legion is allowed to carry them back to the sacred mountain. And as I am the last, I must carry them all.
That is quite a burden.
It is what must be done. She says, kind of in a resigned voice. I think you look over and run some numbers in your head. This is an impossible task that she is attempting. There are too many of these helmets, and if there's really only her left, she's never going to be able to carry them up a mountain.
How many of your brothers and sisters were there?
Once we were Legion. Now there is me.
And this is how they would want you to honor them? To spend the rest of your life carrying helmets?
This is what we all swore to do for each other.
Well, I think it is a task you will not complete tonight. If you would like to have some stew.
Are you gesturing towards the fire, or just offering her this stew you've brought over?
Has she noticed it yet?
No, she was focused on her task, and then you pulled her away and offered her the single serving. I don't think she's clocked where your companions are or the sentinels.
Yeah, then in that case, I think she will say, I find it is safer in a group. And she gestures in the direction of the fire.
You say it's safer in a group. She gives a rueful sigh. Safety in numbers, yes. Well, I will join you if you give me a moment. She hands the bowl of stew back, walks over to take up her burden and drag it with her.
How may I introduce you?
I am Nildira of the Brighthelm Legion.
Okay, then Gillie will answer. I am Gillie Dewfoot. My 3 companions from my village, I believe, will be welcoming. There are 2 guardsmen who are in a situation far beyond them who may need a bit of placation, but I believe we are up to the task.
She nods at the briefing and she says, "It's an honor to make your acquaintance, Miss Dewfoot." Dittany, Lobelius, Largo, you are kind of coming towards the end of your stew. We'll say there's a little bit left, but you've made good headway into it, and the guards have noticeestuffed relaxed when Gillie and a armored woman dragging a overstuffed massive sack kind of appear, moving into the firelight. The guards scramble to try and be on guard once more. What? Who are you? Right. So there's that. Gillie, you have a whole you have a plan for introducing your new friend here.
It's mostly being frank.
Just putting it all out there.
This is Sir. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name when you were out of character. You said it really quickly.
Nildira.
Do we have an NPC? Nildira, thank you. Do we have an NPC tab or anything like that, or are we just dropping things?
We don't. Chat? I'm happy to just make a very basic one real quick, though.
She says, "This is Sir Nildira. I have offered her the hospitality of our fire.
Oh, hold on, just one moment. We just did a whole. We had to. How do we know she's not a servant of the Doomslord?
Gilly brought her. She's really good at identifying people who are servants of the Doomslord, I think. And also, we still. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
We still got the bit of stew left for Sir Neldira.
Nice.
Look, trust me, I know the Doomslord's legions pretty well. This one's okay.
I like it.
I think I've like elbowed it. And he like, be cool, man.
Yeah, don't push it. Don't push it. Nice. Yeah, I think I want one more person perhaps to negotiate an obstacle just to make sure, just to allay suspicions and help the sentinels feel they are not falling down on their task if they accept the word of Gilly here. So potentially any of you could, as you're all stepping up to vouch for this person who's totally new to you as well. So Gilly has clearly earned some trust. Anyone want to be the one to negotiate the obstacle? Try and make this a peaceful encounter.
Good idea.
I could do. Go ahead.
Hang on. Yeah, Dittany, you've got a thought?
Sorry, Mark, did you have something you want to do?
Okay, I do, but you go first.
Right. So, I mean, I think that, like, Dittany will, again, like, very awkwardly and clumsily be like, Brighthelm Legion? I thought that, like, starts out terribly. Seems to make everything worse, brings up the massacres, all that stuff. But then... And then, like, dismisses this, like, crazy idea that this woman's going to tramp back and forth, dragging these helmets forever. But finally what comes out is, if you want to get all those helmets up the mountain, you don't want to drag them one by one. You need to recruit a new legion. And if you're the last one, then we have these two brave warriors right here.
Oh, man. This is amazing. I feel like I'm fascinated to see how this role goes as Dittany attempts to refound the Brighthelm Legion by convincing Neldira to recruit these sentinels. Let me see. Do you think this is more of a keen role to apply your sort of problem solving mind to this issue? That's probably better for you than framing it as a true role, which would be another take on this. So I guess it depends on how much this is about like a sincere emotional connection versus cleverness in the way you suggest a solution here.
I think it is more like just a problem solving take on things. Like, you need help, these guys need a job. I think for not just mechanical benefit reasons that I'm going to say that it's a keen roll.
Let's see the roll. And
2d6 plus 1.
2d6 plus your keen.
All right.
Okay. Does that come to a 9 total?
Yeah, that's the 9 is the total.
Beautiful. Yeah. Jim will present you with a tricky choice or a price to pay. I think oh man, obviously the easiest price is always take on a burden, but wait, hang on.
I do have a free slot.
You cleared a burden, so you wouldn't necessarily have to buckle under you would buckle under the weight.
I would buckle.
Yeah, you would buckle if you took on a burden.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Or could we help by taking on a burden and letting Shane roll the 2 again? I mean, that would be possible, right?
It's possible, yeah. Or do you want? Do you, Lobelius? Do you have a thought about how you step into to kind of underline Dittany's proposal here?
Basically,
I have a
by
thought
just
on how Gilly might help too. If
Ooh,
that's
nice,
good.
cool. Yeah, then we can pull together. See,
Yeah.
spread
Cool.
the burdens around and see
Mhm.
see if this is enough to get us to a 10+.
I think Lobelius will just say, "Well, that's actually look, that's a brilliant idea." Sometimes you just, and I mean, don't you want to be knights? I mean, you're such fine fellows, don't you? You seem to be knight material, right?
Yeah, they will, like, as you're introducing this idea, they like draw themselves up, taller, try to like brush off their armor a little bit. Gilly, what's your plan to help here? Gilly, you said you had maybe a way to be of assistance. You are muted though if you're talking right now.
Yes, I was briefly letting in the dog and could not push on.
Okay, there we go. No worries.
Yes, I am here. So Gilly, so Dittany says all of this and earns an arched eyebrow from Gilly,
Mm-hmm.
but she does eventually say, I had not wanted to bring it up immediately, but it did occur to me, if you do want to accomplish your task, you will need to rebuild the Brighthelm Legion. I know you are tasked with returning the helms, but must you do so immediately? Or is it
like,
better to rebuild first?
She gives like this slow nod as she's clearly like taking this in, and like she'll take the bowl of soup, right, and like take like several bites of the stew before responding, but she's clearly mulling this proposal. Dittany, you have some help here. I think Gilly and Lobelius, just mark you have each an additional unnamed burden. Dittany, roll just 1d6 and you'll sub it in for your 2. We'll see if you get pushed up to a full hit on this. Well, there we go. It was really worth it this time.
Who could resist the combined persuasive powers of this group?
Yeah, on a 10+, you solve the problem handily. So like Nildira, finishes the stew, and she says, "You each know your way around a sword," and kind of like falling over each other to agree. The Sentinels are like, "Oh yes, absolutely. Oh yeah, we fought against the Stormlings and the corrupted fellow soldiers, right?" Like there's they're like recounting their own journeys, and then she like holds up a hand and they like stop, and she says, "Then you'll do. Kneel." And I think as our view like pulls back, we like see the birth of a new Brighthelm Legion here as the Sentinels kneel down. Nildira draws the sword to dub each of them and recruit them to be the beginnings of the Brighthelm Legion, and those who will aid her in the impossible task she had left her. And you've done something good, companions. You have been of help to those you encountered in the ruins of the Slagsgard Bastion. I do think it's unlikely that Gilly and Dittany's names stick around in the story. Though I'm sure Nildira feels real gratitude. She took seriously that Gilly was going out of her way to be of help. It's just the way these stories tend to go. People eventually forget the little people that were involved in them. I think I think it would make sense to have someone chart a course to represent the Fellowship moving on from the Slagsguard Bastion to press forward in your quest. Is there anyone who is particularly excited to
Yeah, I think I'm
to chart a
not
course?
only interested, but maybe best suited. It's plus keen, right?
It is plus keen.
All right, I will take that on if no one else is super interested. Whatever it means, I'll do it.
So what it means is you get to you tell a story of the journey as you are charting a course for your Fellowship to move from one journey site to another, and then you'll roll plus keen. So kind of within this part of the story, what we're seeing is the Fellowship moving forward, setting off for the next site that they'll have to move through. And Largo, you can this can be like something you're recounting along the way. Tell a story of the journey. Something you can get prompts for these under the stories tab if you need inspiration.
Oh, there we go. Cool.
Yeah.
I think the story of the journey I would like to tell is, I think it's immediate. It's the place you've traveled through where you're most tempted to stay. And yeah, I think Largo, as we're picking our way across the ruined land here to the next bit, is kind of almost wistfully being like, those guys were, they were maybe not the best suited to their task, but they stayed. They held their post even when it seemed pointless to, because they swore to it. And that seems an admirable, not only an admirable trait in a person, but I believe that they will be the foundation of a great new star in the sky. And a place like that, if they were to stick around there, they have the beginnings of a castle half built for them, and more than enough on the battlefield to suit and arm a new army. And well, they would need someone to tell stories and cook food, I guess. Not much for a sword, but the journey ahead is long, and I was almost tempted to stay there. Give them good advice when they needed it.
I love that. That's an excellent story. Make a roll plus keen.
Let's see. 2 dice plus 2. Charting the course, is it called?
Chart a course. That's right.
Chart a course. Alrighty. 5 total. No, 7 total. Sorry.
Okay, that makes a big difference.
Yeah,
because I will say, on a miss, you're neck deep in dire difficulty. Perhaps the hunters are even on your tail. But on any hit, you find your way forward. On a 7 to 9, an unexpected obstacle rears its head. Ask the GM, "How is this land different than I remember?" Nice. So we'll in just a moment take our next break. But to give us just a hint of where we're going, I think we see the Fellowship kind of pass through this kind of blighted place where where the battle had taken place, and you end up actually in a more kind of temperate coastal area, and there is a sandy beach, and there is kind of shallow water, right? And coral formations are rising up out of this water in many colors. So this is the coral shallows, and we're going to ask a little bit. Or I'm going to ask us to help paint the scene when we return. So you can think this question over as we have the break. What makes the watery scenery here so soothing? So that's going to be That's going to be a paint the scene quest when we return, and I will also think over how is this land different than I remember, and what the unexpected obstacle will be. But for the moment, let's take a break. Be back at 15 past the hour, so take a good 10 minutes and then return. All right. Hey, hey, how's everybody doing? Good, good. We'll wait a moment to get everybody back. Oh, hey, here we are. Hello, Mark. All right, I think we do have everybody. We ended on that charter course roll, and we got the 7 to 9 result. So an unexpected. So you find a way forward, and we found a way forward into the Coral Shallows. That is the next site here on this journey path. On a 7 to 9, an unexpected obstacle rears its head. Ask the GM, how is this land different than I remember? Firstly, I'd like to paint the scene a little. Then we'll answer that question about how things are different. So, from each of you, I'd love to get a detail about what makes the watery scenery here so soothing. Lobelius, are you up to start us off?
Sure. What? Can you ask the question again? I was staring at story prompts and I'm sorry.
No worries. What makes the watery scenery here so soothing? And we've said there's a beach, there's water lapping against it, and from the water there are these coral formations rising up.
The flightless birds that lurk around the coral formation, they are not very graceful, at least as they are just clambering over it, and it kind of looks a little comedic even, and then they jump off these corals and then they're in the water and they're so elegant all of a sudden. They are a bit like penguins and a bit like puffins. They are just and they make these noises that are they're almost like someone singing. So maybe these are sirens, puffqueens, yes. Maybe.
Yeah, I love this. They're so graceless until they leap into the water, and then they make their kind of singing sounds as they swim. Wonderful. Largo, is there another detail that of what makes the watery scenery here so soothing?
Yeah, I did the weekend with pelicans, so I was going to go with the birds, but I love what you did. I think it's the fresh. It's because it's not seaweed-y or gross at all. It's just like this because of the reef there, the way the water filters into the land. It's just like this really nice, refreshing, salty but bracing breeze coming off the. There's a name for it. There's a better name for that, but just like the smell of the crisp ocean is just invigorating, I think.
That's awesome. Crisp ocean smell, bracing breeze. Dittany, I have to ask, how does that bracing breeze interact with your cooling breeze? Are they in conflict, or they kind of flow together and you feel just additional breezes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I even am aware of the breeze because my own personal breeze just accompanies me all the time.
You can't leave it behind. Yeah, it's your gift, as it were.
Yeah, but it is nice to see that everyone else's hair is sort of blowing in the breeze as mine does. I just realized that I have this music video visual because my hair is constantly blowing.
That's fantastic. Anything else you want? Since I jumped to you, I'll ask if there's anything else you want to add about what makes the scenery so soothing.
I mean, if I can, I'd like to add a detail to what Sabine suggested and say that the time of day that we come through here is when the reason the puffqueens are sort of flopping around is because this is when they march back up the beach or up the shore to their burrows for the night. And seeing these small creatures heading back home so gracelessly certainly resonates for me with what we're attempting.
Yes, they're walking back again to their homes. Yeah. That's wonderful. And Gilly, one last detail of what makes the watery scenery here so soothing.
So it is not quite Okay, so there's a coral reef is what we'd also describe.
Yeah, kind of coral formations rising up out of the water, even so you can see them from the shore.
Mm-hmm. There are some signs of. How would you have signs of boat traffic? You wouldn't necessarily be able to tell. Sure, we'll say that. So there's some signs of people living here. And so much of the land has been ravaged, and so many of the people have been harmed and their homes destroyed, that to see a place where you can see some cook fires in the distance, and it's not smoldering, it's cook fires, it's chimney smoke.
Nice.
And you can see like a little dock in the distance with these shallow bottomed boats that are small and navigate the around the corals well.
That's great. That's very good. The thing that has changed, the unexpected obstacle, is that there is a large ship run aground, and so as you're making your way along, there comes a point where the beach becomes impassable because of this huge ocean-going vessel, like not something that would normally even be in water this shallow. It is run up all the way kind of onto the beach. Kind of the ship itself not like terribly damaged or anything, but it seems stuck, and it blocks any way to walk along this beach. You'd have to go up some of the like rockier hills. It's kind of front is now scraping against, or out into the water itself if you were trying to circumnavigate it. But it's this this ship now looming and out of place as a like very literal physical obstacle in the way on the coral shallows.
Would it be possible to climb aboard from the side?
It might be possible. You might find like a net hanging over somewhere. It might take some teamwork to boost one of your fellowship up. Is that something you're interested in?
That's something that Largo is interested in. I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah, what do you say? Do you propose this plan to the fellowship?
Yeah, absolutely. The rocky cliffs look like a bit of a climb anyway, and I'm not a great swimmer, so it seems reasonable to go. And maybe there's someone aboard we can share another meal with. Kind of like gives an eye to Lobelius.
Gilly is regarding the ship with one eyebrow raised, as if to say she is deeply unimpressed with someone's captaining skills. But also turns back to Largo and nods.
They might have fish.
Exactly. Or other stores aboard.
Oh.
Some fruits or spices from wherever they came from.
Dittany, as your companions fantasize about what stores might be laid up on this ship, you get a really bad feeling about it.
I mean, I think that I might tell them, when I worked for, like in the before times, sometimes we would pretend that our vehicle had crashed or run aground to draw in the unwary. And I can't help but feel that, well, I just have a bad feeling about this.
Well, now that we're aware of that, we will go in prepared.
We are four small creatures. We don't know what's in there.
If there's a hunter in there, then we can prepare all we want. It would not go well for us, I think. But I would like to have some more spices or some rum. I don't know. But if Gilly thinks it's okay, I guess we can risk it, right?
Gilly
might-
would like to gaze into the distance and see if there's like another person around.
Yes.
Like, how long has this ship been here? Like,
Yeah. Oh, fascinating. First, describe what fragment of loveliness in the landscape has caught your eye.
The ship has apparently been here at least a little while, because on one of the portholes, there is a little puffquin nest with some little chicks poking their heads out.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's strange. That evidence there strongly suggests this the ship didn't just like run aground today or anything, right? Nature has had time to start moving in a little bit, and yet there are there's no evidence of people trying to like push the ship off or lash it with ropes and drag it away, right? Maybe you even I'm kind of interpreting this. Sorry, I guess ask me what are you asking from the gaze into the distance list?
Yes.
I feel like I shouldn't get ahead of myself. I should find out what question you're really asking for.
Of those three, what am I overlooking?
Yeah. You realize there are some like footprints in the sand, things that have been blown around by wind, washed by the tide a little bit, but you can still make out small footprints, or make out small traces of the footprints of human people heading towards the ship, but none heading away from the ship.
Gilly will put a hand out to stop Largo. And then with the other hand, we'll point to the footprints and not explain them because it's obvious.
Largo, how do you react to that?
So they left. It's safe now. Is that what you're saying? Do you want to go first?
And she waves her hand at the footprints again, like, and gives you a look like, why are you asking dumb questions?
So if they're saying someone's here.
Someone has boarded this ship and no one has left it.
So they're still on the ship.
Or whatever was on the ship has eaten them.
Ooh.
It looks like it's hard to tell with the sand, but I think at least 3 people, human-sized.
Yeah, plausibly at least 3 from what you're saying.
Okay.
So maybe it's possible that whatever ate them is full. And wouldn't want to bother with something as small as us.
Yeah, why don't you hop up there and find out, Largo?
Perhaps you'd like to look in a window first.
Yeah, I'm not unaccustomed to getting into places that people don't want me or it would be dangerous. So maybe I will offer to scout ahead, put my head through a window or even just like climbing up and seeing if there's anything to be seen.
Yeah.
I'll come with you just to make sure that you're okay. I'm not losing another one of you.
Oh no, you're not getting rid of me that easy.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. So Largo and Lobelius, you kind of clamber your way up some ropes hanging over the side of the ship, and you're able to kind of, let's say, peek over the see. Here it'd be good if I knew more ship terminology. Peek over the wall around the deck, right? So you're looking at the top deck of the ship, and you can see like several prone figures. You watch carefully. They are breathing, but snoring heavily. Deeply asleep, and there's people who are dressed like sailors, and then a couple folks who are not dressed for going sailing, more dressed for taking a walk on the beach. So there's just these slumbering figures. You can make out a half dozen up on the deck, and unclear if that's all there is, right? But that's that kind of is what greets you when you peek your little heads over the edge of the ship there. What do you do?
I think pop back down and report back to the group. There are half a dozen sleeping men. They seem deeply asleep. I don't know how long they sleep still, but how quiet do you feel today?
Could it be that that's a curse or some poison that has affected them?
Who are you looking to when you ask that question?
I'm looking. Oh yeah, no, I'm looking at the ship actually.
Okay. Because I was curious whether Dittany.
No, I'm
Yo,
not
And then
looking.
we'll just start to like.
Oh, are
list
you
the
back with the
curses
group,
and
or are
poisons that
you-
he knows.
Yeah, we
I thought you were
returned.
talking
Yeah.
to each other.
Yeah. Sorry, they went scouting. They clambered up. They didn't. It sounds like you didn't board the ship. You poked your heads
Yeah.
over the edge, and you went back down to rejoin the group.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. Dittany, you were saying something, I think.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just that Dittany just starts to list the curses and poisons that he knows that could be used for an effect like this. It's a long list.
Do you want to invoke your special turncoat move here?
I do not know what that is, but yes, I do.
So laden with doom says, when the hunters or another terrible peril approach, you may tell a story of the journey that explains your terror and roll plus keen. On a hit, you offer insight that gives everyone in the fellowship advantage on evading the danger. On 7 to 9, take a named burden as you recall being in the Doomslord's grip. So
I mean, does another terrible peril approach right now?
Well, I think we've established that there's something off about this ship, and there's a bunch of people asleep on board. If you feel that reaches this point, I'd be happy for you. I am all ears if you want to invoke this.
All right. Well, then I think that I will tell a story of the journey that explains my terror. I remember when I set out, when I still worked for the Doomslord, to the murder swamp. Few have returned, and we bottled the vapors of the swamp. And when those bottles are broken, the mists that they release, you look like it just looks like sleeping, but those who inhale the vapors are subjected to the most violent and terrible nightmares. And if they ever do awake, they're never the same. And the vapors do not disperse on the breeze. If that's what's up there, then how do you feel about tunneling?
I think Largo's eyes are just getting big as dinner plates while he's describing that. I think he's like, so do you think they might have some of those bottles up there still?
Oh my god!
Oh no!
That seems like it would come in handy later on. Is there any antidote? Can you just hold your breath? What if we put a rag over our mouths? Or wrapped
Well-
our heads in seaweed? If we said
Largo, that is a
first.
fine idea. How about you go and wrap your head in seaweed, and we'll look. I'm not sure that it will help, but it will certainly lift my spirits.
Dittany, will you make a roll plus keen, please, to see if this insight you offer is going to give us advantage?
Right.
And mechanically, advantage is rolling
Oh, no!
3d6 and taking the best 2 dice. What did you get there, Dittany?
I
Is
got
that
a 5
Yikes.
total. I got a
okay,
miss.
so on a miss, they see you clear as day. Take disadvantage on any course of action besides approaching the hunters to make a desperate stand. It's good. It's obviously like slightly better to roll that result when the hunters aren't already right on top of you, but it does put this burden on Dittany, right? If people want to pull together, we can attempt it, or we can let that stand, right? Like, that just becomes a fact that Dittany feels this encroaching evil. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the both because both dice are low. I feel like that it's maybe not worth pulling together here. I'm trying to metagame, but if you
Yeah,
feel
that
like you
sounds
really pull
Pretty
together-
fun.
That's legit. All right. So Dittany, you've been talking about the bottled gas of the murder swamp. You feel like Largo is not getting quite the right takeaway, and like as your like frustration is mounting, there's like, what's the like? Is it like the classic like hairs on the back of your neck stand up? Like, what's the physical sensation that kind of gives you the sense of the hunters can see where you are?
It's when the brand on my cheek like tingles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that gives that gives you the sense of like, your location is known to them, and presumably they are moving in your direction.
So I immediately tell that to the others. I can feel it. The hunters are coming.
We should leave then, maybe? I mean,
Absolutely agree.
ship
Yeah.
or no ship, we can get the ship to drive us away, so I think we need to abandon this project. As much as I would have loved some rum, I don't think it's worth the risk. And also, I don't want anyone to have bottles of murder sea gas. Would use
one.
them. Largo, no. I feel that you are one of the people who would drop this in the barroom after they have had a few too many, and then suddenly we're there and everybody's been murder gassed.
That happened once. Okay.
That never happened. It was not murder gas, but that was bad enough. That was bad enough. So.
Gilly, I want to check in with you because it feels like you've been quieter as this debate's gone on. Is there anything you do or have been doing during this back and forth?
So I think once they were deciding to go up there, even though she clearly pointed out the footprints twice, but they seemed determined to do whatever they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Gilly actually pulled out a little fishing line because I don't know what's happening next, but I'm hungry and want lunch.
Nice.
So she was sitting there fishing and quietly contemplating the river while everyone bickered behind her. And I am going to name one of my burdens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to name it Misanthrope.
Yeah.
Everything was so much easier when she was by herself in the woods, and now she's dealing with people, and that just never goes well.
Yeah, as you're sitting there, ignoring your companions and contemplating your own misanthropy, one of these little puffquins kind of like waddles over, in an ungainly fashion and like cocks its head to the side and makes like a squawking noise. They don't sing while they're walking either, right? Like they only sing when they're like leaping up out of the water. When they are on land, they make kind of awkward squawking noises, and so that's what the little puffquin makes, with is sort of a quizzical body language as it plops there next to you, Gilly.
Gilly is actually probably kind of pleased by this. See, she'll actually say out loud, but very quietly, you actually understand the important things. Leave the ship alone and let's have lunch.
Yeah, the like puffquin is content to hang out near you as you reel in some kind of fish here. The question is, are your companions going to be willing to pause for lunch, given what Dittany's revealed? So,
well, now that Dittany has revealed the thing, Gilly will definitely pull her hook back out of the fish, hand the fish to the puffquin, and is ready to go.
Okay, yeah. Puffquin like grabs the fish in its beak and like waddles off. You return to the Fellowship. What's the plan now? Like, Dittany, do you have a suggestion after bringing up this terrible danger?
Now that I know that the hunters are coming, I don't think there's a choice. We've just got to like hold our breaths and run for it. Like dive up, you climb up, get over that ship, get going.
So we have to cross. I think I misunderstood this in my brain.
Yeah.
We have to cross the ship in order to keep going. I thought we could just cross the river.
So it's not a river. It's the edge of an ocean or another like larger body of water. So you could go out into the water and swim and see how that went for you. I think Largo has established he's not much of a swimmer, but plausibly that's less dangerous than trying to climb up the boat and cross it that way. So yeah, you've got a couple options, absolutely.
But if it's an ocean, we can't swim across it, right? I mean, that's
no, but it would really be just like swim a little ways and then get back on the beach at a stretch that isn't blocked by a big ship that's run aground.
Oh, so the ship is blocking our way and we can't get past it by land, right? We have to swim across around it. Now I have the scenery in my mind. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I
realized
wanted to plunk the ship right in the way such that you had to decide, like, are we trying to cross it or trying to do a like more circuitous route to get around it?
We could climb along the outside.
Yeah, we could try that. Mm-hmm. Let's try that.
We're stronger climbers than swimmers.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe you are. I'm not so good with pull-ups. I've never been good at pull-ups. I do gym class back in the Shire. Not the time for me.
I've got you, Dittany. We'll tie a rope around you, and then you can go via the ocean while we climb. I imagine you're not much of a swimmer either.
Just drag Dittany along.
I mean, I don't know what else you do. I can't.
Just like you used to.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So am I getting the sense that like climbing along the exterior of the run aground ship is what you're going to attempt to do?
Yeah, I'm trying to help Dittany out. I don't know. Maybe tie him with a rope to me. If he falls, I'll catch him. Maybe, or we both fall. But then I can't swim, so it's fine.
Maybe we all tie ourselves together for maximum safety.
Yeah. It's safest for everyone to be tied together.
Sorry, Shane, I didn't catch you.
I know, that's all right. If we're all tied together, that sounds like terrible, but great.
Mm-hmm.
one all for one and one for all here. Who is leading the way? Possibly Lobelius, if I'm kind of tracking.
I think Largo should lead the way because I think he's better at stuff like that. I'm just there to catch anybody who falls. I'm just strong. I'm not that clever.
All right, Largo, do you want?
Actually,
yeah,
I have another thing I would like to do.
Yeah, Gilly.
Which is ask the Puffquin that I just bribed.
Oh yeah.
To it's a ship, so ships tend to have various anchors and ropes sort of hanging off of them and things like that to sort of help us get some ropes that we can climb along.
Oh, nice. So basically, you're because at least one family of Puffquins has kind of started to take nest in the sides of the ship. So you're seeing if the Puffquin can find you some ropes and easy handholds to do your navigation of the ship. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Will you roll for me your special Wayfinder move? When you approach an animal with suitable respect in hopes of helping it or getting help from it, tell a story of the journey and roll plus true. You've approached it with suitable respect. You gave it a fish and everything. Tell a story of the journey, Gilly. And you can find prompts for these on the stories tab if you're excited to have one of those.
Yeah. Does it need to be related to the object to the task at hand?
It doesn't need to be, no. I mean, sometimes people kind of go with what they might be reminded of by what's going on. Sometimes it's just sharing a story as a way of their character kind of centering themselves and connecting with their companions or whatever it is they're using the story to do.
Mm-hmm. And this is in character out loud.
That's best if it's in character out loud.
Okay. And then in that case, she will say, people don't really respect the intelligence of animals. They always look down on them as lesser beasts, but I have often found animals to be more helpful than people. When I was alone in the woods, I fell down a crevasse and injured my leg, which is a problem enough in the best of times, and even worse when you are alone. But of course, I wasn't truly alone. The forests are always alive, full of creatures. And a nearby deer was kind enough to help me up and help me limp to the nearest town where I could get the aid I needed. And this Puffquin, young though it may be, has offered us friendship. And we should acknowledge that kindness.
Excellent. Yeah. Roll plus true for Wild Ways here.
Okay. 10.
Nice. The creature acts as you wish. Yeah. So the Puffquin seems to understand what you're hoping for. It lets out one of those croaking squawks again, and a number of other Puffquins suddenly start popping up out of all sorts of nooks and crannies, on the exterior of the ship. It's like it's been barnacled with these birds, and they start pulling down ropes, right? And a net gets pulled down, and suddenly the exterior of the ship is much more climbable, right? The Puffquins have made your path easier. And in fact, I'd love to do one more roll to be navigating the actual climbing of the ship, but I will say you can take advantage on that roll from the good work that the Puffquins have done at Gilly's behest. Largo. I think you were maybe going to take point on
I'll take
leading
point on that.
the group making their way. Yeah. So you have advantage here. And what stat do you think you're using to negotiate this obstacle? Is this
I would imagine it would be Swift, or is that
Swift?
Is Swift kind of like? Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Swift makes sense, yeah, because there's an element of agility here. You have to be able to like grab the next rope, and not like hesitate too much as you're making your way across.
Yeah, I don't really have time to sort of sit and ponder what the next thing would be.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's 3 dice. Take the 2 highest. Plus
3 dice. Take the 2 highest. Add your Swift.
All right. Let's see. 5 plus 1 plus 1 is a 7. Right?
Nice.
Barely
On
pulling
7
it
to
out.
9, the GM will present you with a tricky choice or price to pay. I think I'm just going to go with the one we telegraphed the most here. That like partway along, as you're like above some like kind of like sharp corals, Dittany loses his grip and is starting to like tumble downwards. And does anybody do anything? As it seems
Can
like
I use my playbook move?
Yeah.
Can I use my playbook move? That's
I can
cool.
carry you. Yeah. Let me
just one question.
Hear about that. Yeah.
Shane, is that okay for you if I help you out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. I'll ask them, because sometimes it's kind of like, oh, I'm taking away your agency because I'm helping you, and I don't want to do that. So yeah. Okay. So when you throw yourself in a way to save a companion from danger or despair, tell a story of the journey and roll plus true. Yeah,
and this is one of those places where the story of the journey can be an internal thing, given that in the fiction it's like
probably
quick
not a good
happening.
idea to now start. Remember when? Yeah, no. Yeah, remember when we were. What I remember there is during part of our journey we were climbing the cliffs of Perdition. Yeah, the name was well chosen because not only were these cliffs pretty steep, and they did have stairs, which was nice, but they were very narrow and slippery, and then and sometimes they just stopped, and you had to kind of climb the mountain or the cliff itself. Also, there were these blood hawks that kept attacking us, which was not very nice because the blood hawks were not very large, but neither are we. And that's when one of them, I think, nearly carried off Largo. And while Gilly saved Largo from the Bloodhawk with a well shot arrow, Largo was still kind of dangling from his fingertips, and I had to pull him up, and nearly fell, both of us, but we didn't. And and I lost I realized at that point that I actually that journey had given me a lot of muscle that I hadn't had before, because just carrying around beer kegs is nice, but it's not comparable to this. And so I grab onto Dittany and just hold him to a better position. Or that's what I try to do, at least.
Yeah. Well, you've told the story of the journey. Now roll plus true.
Okay, then. 2. No. Sorry, I'm fighting this thing here.
Yeah, is the dice roller not working well?
The dice roller is I'll just try it, because I don't know. It says I can't give it a name. So I did. Yeah, it's a 9, so that's fine.
No, you won't fall. Nice. On a hit, you've delivered them from immediate peril. So like, yeah, Dittany, you can actually you can narrate how Lobelius is, kind of like swinging into action. It keeps you from suffering the consequences here of plummeting off of the side of the ship. And on a 7 to 9, One of Dittany's burdens is going to be laid on Lobelius. So something about this interaction will like take a weight off of Dittany's shoulders, but like leave Lobelius carrying it. Dittany, what do you think? Do you have a thought about how that might play out?
I mean, I think it's just like the most obvious thing, which is that, Lobelius's hand, just manages to snag my collar as I'm about to plunge into the waves. We see the shark like jump up out of the water, just snapping its jaws shut, inches below my waving feet. And Lobelius, hauls me back up, and I, tearfully grasp the side of the ship again. But I mean, I'm not quite sure in terms of the burdens. I think that I have to give you one of my unnamed burdens because my one named one doesn't really make sense to pass on in this moment.
Yeah, then you can give an unnamed burden to Lobelius. That's fine.
Cool. I have another. I have the burden that I got rid of, but with an unnamed burden. So I'm not overburdened yet.
Yeah. All right, and with Lobelius's timely intervention, nobody falls into the jaws of doom down below, and the whole company is able to make their way to the other side of this ship. Descend down. You walk along the beach. You can see here another couple sets of footprints that lead onto this ship and not off of this ship. But there's no kind of further obstacle in your way if you want to chart a course forward.
Largo, you're good at this.
Yeah, let's go. I'm making a mental note of what this is, though. Someday.
Dropping a pin in the map. Yeah.
Yep.
So Largo, if you're charting a course forward, you can tell a story of the journey if you so desire.
Let's see. I like that. The irritating habit of a companion that I'll miss at journey's end. I think. Oh yeah, Gillie is so practical, and has saved us many times, even though it would have been far more interesting. Now that the war is over, I think we can loosen up a little bit. But you have kept us safe, and you have pointed us in the right direction. And I imagine I will get into worse trouble without you when we get home. So I will miss that.
That's very funny for the irritating habit to be saving Largo.
Yeah.
That's good. If you would roll for me, roll plus keen to chart a course.
Chart a course. That's an 8.
Nice. Very good. All right. On any hit, you find a way forward. On a 7 and 9, an unexpected obstacle rears its head. Nice. Cool. All right. I'm going to say that you're able to kind of to press on, right? Like some time passes, weeks, months, I don't know, but like you journey onward, right? And we'll say that definitely this is not the next day or something like that. The companions have had some time to traverse the landscape and are reaching a very different landscape, because what's appearing on the horizon is the Treetop Inn. And this is a place that has remained untouched by the war. And that's what I'm going to ask you to help me paint the scene. Ask you about what shows that this place has remained untouched by the war. But looking at the time, maybe we'll take our last break now and come back at 10 past the hour to pick up with the Treetop Inn and with whatever obstacle is unexpectedly waiting there. All right, see you at 10 past. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
All right.
Doing well.
Good, good. Feeling good heading into our last stretch of this.
Yeah.
If you're kind of excited to, I don't know, peek ahead, take a look sometime at the epilogue tab, which gives a sense of what sort of prompts you have for epilogues based on what you're bringing home as far as burdens go. And you can think a little about like, do I want to have named more burdens or push hard for sharing meals and clearing burdens based on what sort of epilogue possibilities exist there. Or not, we can also just play it as it lays once we get to that point. Cool. So we are all back where we last left off. The Fellowship had pressed on, charting a course from the Coral Shallows to the Treetop Inn. And I said you saw the Treetop Inn kind of, appearing on the horizon. What shows that this place has remained untouched by the war? I will go backwards across the character keeper for this one. Dittany, what shows it has remained untouched by the war?
I think that the stained glass windows are intact.
Oh, that's amazing. In this Treetop Inn, these stained glass windows remain, unbroken. Gilly, what shows this place has remained untouched by the war?
There's no sorts of fortifications.
Right, it hasn't had to harden its defenses in any way. Yeah. Largo, what jumps out at you as evidence of how this place has not been scarred by what's happened?
I think that closer to where the Doomslord storm guy was sort of centered, the lands around there had a particular type of person who was corrupted, and I think there are some of those people here who were not part of the corrupted ones. I think like whatever the like orc equivalent would be. Like,
Right.
They were
Whoever
the
was
Doomslord, but
the
these are
Doomslord's
not.
army, but there's some people of that people of that race background, right?
There's no like prejudice against them here. They're just like, oh yeah, they're here and it's cool because they're not with them.
Yeah, cool. And one last one, Lobelius, a final detail of how this place was untouched by the war.
Yeah, you see, there are owls here. Now, owls are birds of prophecy, and it's well known that the living storm hated prophecy. So they would hunt down all the owls and cast them into the sea. But there are some owls sitting around, cooing softly, seeming quite undisturbed. Maybe there are little owlets somewhere beeping.
Nice. I love this. Yeah, owls, stained glass, no fortifications, sort of idyllic place. I think there is a long kind of spiral staircase carved into the exterior of the tree for you to ascend to the Treetop Inn. So from below you see it, and it's stained glass, and then you go up via this wooden stairway, and I think the unexpected obstacle is not obvious yet. But what's different than you remember is, stepping into the inn, someone has put up a big tapestry, and it's a tapestry that depicts Elgrim, the hero, battling against the hunters. And so it's an exaggerated depiction, but you absolutely recognize the story that this is telling. there are people who recognize you here, because I believe you stopped here, at some point on your journey in the other way, right? So the barkeep kind of greets you, says, good to see. Yeah, you're still kicking. What'll it be?
Lobelius
I'm
is still
gonna.
staring at the tapestry. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Lobelius is just staring at that tapestry of what was her name? Evelyn, Emma.
Algrim?
Sorry,
Is it Elgrim, like that,
Elgrim.
Largo? Yeah. Let me put that in the
Elgrim,
NPCs
yeah.
tab for
Yeah.
memory's sake as well. Yeah.
Okay, Elgrim stares at Elgrim's tapestry.
Wonderful. Yeah. So you are lost in contemplation there. Dittany, sound like you had a response to the barkeep.
I'm going to get an ale and stomp off into the corner alone, and I would like to take a quiet moment and name a burden.
Yeah. So over your ale, what sort of burden is Dittany naming here?
I mean, it's self-pity. The self-pity has just been like lingering all this time. But, it comes back. The barkeep is like happy to see all of my companions. But Dittany has definitely concluded that, he was not welcome as part of that invitation. There's this thing about Elgrim, as if I didn't play this like key role of nobody respects me. I'm just gonna get in my cups and name a burden, self-pity.
Poor Dittany. Absolutely. Gilly, do you respond when the barkeep offers refreshment for your fellowship?
Gilly will look at Lobelius, because she was really expecting Lobelius to answer, and he didn't. So she will say, I will have a beer, and so will he. Points to Lobelius. And then she goes up to Lobelius and stands next to him, looking at the tapestry, and said, they didn't get her hair right.
They didn't
I
get
think
anything
it was
right.
I remember her hair. It was just such a, I don't know, that particular shade of brown, like a good walnut tree.
They didn't get anything right. I want to rename a burden as well, or name a burden.
Yeah.
Because I will call this, I think I was so jealous. I was jealous of Elgrim. Because, because of Gilly, because, complicated, and also because everyone just looked up at her, and I knew she had doubts. But everyone was like, oh, Elgrim, this, Elgrim, that. And they forgot about us, basically. And I'm just like, Elgrim couldn't have done it without us. So, no, Lobelius is kind of also a bit of maybe a bit of self-pity, but mainly like
a sense of jealousy.
A sense of jealousy, yes. That fits. And Gilly doesn't make it any better by praising that fantastic hair.
Well, speaking of the hair, Largo, I want to know what you're doing. Both in response to the barkeep's greeting and the new tapestry hanging here.
Yeah, I think I start to order something, and then put up a finger and rummage around in my pack and bring out a pewter mug that matches all the other mugs here, and just say, fill it up, please.
Something you found the first time around.
Yeah, it's traveled with me there and back. And then I think after it gets filled with ale or whatever, I think I'm gonna plop myself next to Dittany.
Nice.
And just sort of commiserate. And I think I'm actually I want to name one of my burdens as well, because I kind of like recognize the look of, I'm not part of this group. They don't like me. And we'll just sit quietly for a while, like be like sort of bounce down and be a little cheerful. But then as I notice, kind of like bring it down a little bit. And then I think I'm just going to confess that no one asked me to come. I decided to tag along because I thought it would be a good time. I mean, I had maybe some people were looking for me back home, and taking a little break might have been a good idea. But I also figured that there would be things to see that I'd never get a chance to see otherwise. And for better or for worse, that's the case. But I know that no one would ask a thief, which is what I am, to come along with them. So, I mean, I didn't serve the Doomlord or anything, but I understand how you feel. And kind of like slide my mug over and sort of tap Dittany's.
Dittany, do you accept this company? Like, what do you do when Largo appears and starts sharing all this?
I mean, I think that I am touched, and I know that it's like not exact, but do you think that I could share a meal over these drinks?
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna take the burden unwanted as well for that.
Nice. Yeah, I think it would be legit to call this sharing a meal. The question is just
how do I enliven the beer?
How do you enliven the beer? Yeah.
I say, Largo, when I told you about this, your eyes kind of lit up in a disturbing way, and I didn't necessarily want to share it with you. But
yeah,
and brings out a flask of the Murder Swamp Vapors.
Oh no!
And emphasizes that you have to use the dropper. Any more than a dropper, it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah,
but just a
but just a drop of it adds that like interesting frisson. Oh my goodness!
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
And then I tell a story of home. All right, bear with me for a sec. If you wanted to like check in with one of the other characters, and I'll think about what my story of home might be.
That works for me. Yeah, I'll cut over to Lobelius and Gillie because the two of you were looking at this tapestry, and then your beer arrives. And there's a young elf lad who appears to be helping out at the Treetop Inn. Maybe you vaguely remember him from before, named Nodirian. And he's just so excited that you guys are here, right? He's like handing your beers and like looks at the tapestry too, and he's like, "It must have been so amazing being there. Did you see Elgrim battling the hunters? What was it like?"
Mostly, it was awful.
I've heard the hunters are terrible, but I don't know. I just feel like I wish I could have been there. I feel like I was meant to fight one of them, winning glory and renown.
There are still some out there. Do you have any happiness inside of you?
He kind of like pauses. He's like, "Yeah, sure. I mean,
and don't go battling them.
It's nice here and all. It's kind of boring, It's kind of you people
boring.
Went all the way to the Broken Land and got to be part of this huge epic adventure, and I was here just waiting tables for Brondolf over there." Like gestures towards the barkeep. I could have been part of this. I could have fought one of these. Like he like puts his hand out to touch the like image of the hunter on the tapestry.
You know what? There was, and I don't know what move I'm using here, but I will share a story now. Maybe to protect him from some kind of danger and a certain kind of. And I say, look, when we started our journey, I run a bar back home, right? And I had my young cousin with me because he wanted to go on an adventure. You know what happened? One of those ate him, and I couldn't protect him.
He like steps back from the image of the hunter on the tapestry. This is interesting. Did you say you're trying to protect him by telling the story? You know what?
Like a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
I think that's the closest of the moves.
I mean, I might just ask you to negotiate an obstacle, since that's the
okay.
kind of catch-all one.
We can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to fit with the results of
that's true.
of your bodyguard move. So though I appreciate the drawing a connection to it. Also, interesting to finally hear a little more about the one you couldn't save.
Yeah, I wanted to put that somewhere in there. I have to refresh my roll with me, though. It does not like me today. And that's not even the dice, it's just the platform. Or maybe I'll just get some you know what? You go back to Shane and I figure out how to do the dice thing, right?
Do you have physical dice in front of you? Because it's
I
no
do
problem.
have physical dice behind me, so
yeah. If you want to roll physical dice, I'm cool with that.
But I have to get them before I can roll them.
Sure. I'll cut back to Dittany for a second. Dittany, did you have a chance to mull over a story of home here?
Yeah, so I'm going to tell a story about a relative at home who I hope will be proud of what I've done, even if they can't understand it.
Oh, and wow, that's a great story.
Now that me and Largo are opening up to each other, sharing this emotional moment, and drinking what I hope will be an unusually delicious ale for this part of the world.
Hopefully.
I mean, what I tell you is that I'm very worried about how my brother's going to look at me when I get home. Because, all of you just think of the Doomslord as this terrible living storm that wanted to destroy time. But we both think of him as our father.
Oh!
I don't know if he's going to understand what I had to do.
Bringing your dad's real name to bring about his downfall.
So that's my story. Roll with truth.
Yeah, true story.
Oh my god. That is a 1. A total of 1. 2 ones on the dice and a -1 on my modifier.
Well,
not even worth pulling together.
Yeah, I can't
that fits
argue
with the swamp gas.
I can't argue against that, right? Like you tell this story, about the family relationship with the Doomslord and your worries about connecting with your brother, and you're sharing this ale that you've laced with just a drop of swamp gas, and maybe it was just a little too much from the dropper there, right? And so the room is getting a little hazy for Largo and Dittany as they realize that Largo kind of what kind of nightmarish manifestation is now in the inn from your perspective. What's the kind of when we get the from Largo's perspective, things starting to swim, what's the thing that shows how his fears are starting to manifest here?
Yeah, I think I'll look down at my empty mug and start to look over to the bartender and see if I should go get it refilled again. And I see the bartender, but I also see a spectral version of him moving along with him.
Nice.
Has been taken over by one of the hunters.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dittany, I think it's got to be that that breeze that always follows you suddenly has very icy chill to it. Am I right?
Yeah, that's right.
There may be more, but I'm going to cut back to Lobelius for a moment. Lobelius, you were making a roll to see how well you negotiated an obstacle here.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. I might have tamed Rollsme. Yes, I have. It's a 9.
Okay. Yeah. So like Nodirian, this young elf, he kind of like blanches a little as you tell him the story. He's like, oh, maybe you're right. I guess there's no need to go trying to borrow trouble or whatever. I found this, and he leans in conspiratorially. I found this old book Brondulf had hidden. I think it was a book about magic. So I was trying one of these spells. Maybe it wasn't so smart though. And he like, pulls out from, his jacket this little spell book, right? So opening the page to like a summoning spell, and he's like, I was hoping maybe we could all fight a hunter together here, but maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe we should put the spell book somewhere else so that when they arrive, to answer the summons, we aren't all here.
You foolish young boy, you summoned a hunter to this place that was untouched by them before.
Just one, and I bet we could take it together. I don't know. We don't have to though. We could put the spellbook somewhere else real quick.
You can't fight them. And if you put the spellbook somewhere else, where will you put it? And I'm looking at Gilly like, help me out here. What are we doing? This little idiot has summoned a hunter. We need to go.
So Gilly, I think, was Lobelius, I think, was having this interaction, and Gilly was actually having a quiet moment, I think, looking at the tapestry, because her memories of Elgrim are very different. She remembers her as a friend, and it's really nice to see her in one of her grandest moments, and not the way her broken body after this, her broken body and broken soul from after this fight. That her end was so very tragic. So yeah, I think that's going to be naming a burden.
Is it just grief, or like, is there a more specific name for the burden?
Yeah, I'm having trouble coming up with a word.
Like, is it kind of the burden of missing a friend, or the burden of, no one knowing the friend the way you did, right? Like the burden of kind of seeing her story but not recognizing the friend you knew in it.
I think it's helplessness, actually. In the context of knowing that this was going to end, even if they won, that it was going to be at so much of a cost, and there really wasn't anything else to be done about it. Elgrim, that, like, they all knew when Elgrim went to fight this duel that it was, if she succeeded, then she defeated the storm, but she would not come out the other side still being herself.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're kind of taking that quiet moment, taking that in.
That being said, if Lobelius wants to then bring her into this, we can.
Yeah, Nodirian has revealed the spellbook. Lobelius, you are aghast. Do you like grab Gilly and show her what this is?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, she has been around, right? She maybe, I don't know anything about magic. I'm an innkeeper. So maybe Gilly knows something, or maybe Largo, but he's over there and looks a bit the worse for it. Drink, right?
Sure does.
I mean, yeah, Dittany tends to have that effect on people. So I'm grabbing Gilly and I'm telling her what Nodirian has done.
You summoned a hunter?
Just one.
There's never just one.
It's true. If you cut one down, two more spring up. That's depicted right there in the tapestry. He should have paid more attention.
Where's
he
the
looks
book?
he looks abashed and hands the book over.
Can we unsummon it, maybe?
I'm not a mage.
Neither am I.
You're not either. We don't
No,
have any mages here.
Maybe we can ask Dittany. He seems to know the most stuff about these kind of things.
Yeah, you rushing
She
the book
turns
over
to the kid
Yeah.
and she says, "How sure are you that the hunter will follow the book?"
Pretty sure. I think that's how it says it works.
Okay. Well, in that case, I think it is time for Gilly to take the peril move of run.
Interesting. So are you just running? Tell me what you're picturing here.
So Gilly, she, a hunter is bad enough, but a hunter coming to an inn is just going to be so much worse. There's so many people for it to feed on. And she's thought about destroying the book, but she doesn't know what that will mean. Magic is usually not that simple in her experience. So I think her first thought is just to get as far as she can and then hopefully toss it somewhere and keep running.
Nice.
Yeah, and Lobelius will come with her because he's not losing another one of you. Never again.
Okay, so this is fascinating. So this is I think this works. This is just a slightly unusual interpretation of how run goes, but I think we can do this.
I can roll something else if you prefer. That just seemed the most appropriate.
We've got hunters coming. Like, it's got to be peril moves. Yeah, so let's make run happen. When you run, name who you most want to keep safe and roll plus swift. Gilly, tell me, who are you most invested in keeping safe?
Who am I most invested in keeping safe? It's not specific, but I think it's the people at the inn. The fact that inn was untouched by the war really sort of helped her in a way.
Yeah.
And she does not want to see, touching on her recent feelings of helplessness, she doesn't want to see anyone really, but especially an untouched place, get destroyed, get its soul twisted like that ever again.
So you're booking it down the like wooden spiral staircase, right, and then like sprinting off through the surrounding forest to get far away from the inn. I think as you go, you like catch sight of the sun gleaming off the stained glass windows, the owls hooting in the branches. So you see all these things. You feel like you definitely want to keep safe. Please make a roll plus swift as you run.
Mm-hmm. 7.
On a 7 to 9, you've only taken the person you prioritized and left everyone else in the lurch. So here's how I'm going to interpret that. You've definitely kept to the inn safe, but by running right at this moment, you have left Dittany and Largo in a bad way because they like really needed a friend right about now to try and like snap them out of what they're going through, and instead, like as they turn, they're seeing nightmares fill up the inn and their companions just gone, right? So we're gonna like put a pin in that for a moment. Check on Dittany and Largo. From your perspective, things are suddenly terrible. Like as far as you can tell, the inn is kind of like shaking and warping. Nothing is right. There are these spectral forms starting to appear around the barkeep and the others at the inn. Dittany, what do you do?
I mean, this is what I expected. My companions abandoned me. I always knew it would end up like this. But I'm gonna show them who I am and make a desperate stand.
Yeah.
Oh, incredible! And
Maybe
I love.
nobody's gonna remember my name, but I'm gonna do it.
All right. So when you make a desperate stand against the hunters, tell how you are overmatched and overawed. Then tell a story of doom, or else how you fall prey to the hunters. So this is fascinating because, of course, you're making a stand, against the nightmares that you've imbibed. But you can choose from the stories of doom. Oh, everything all right?
Yep.
You can choose from the stories of doom. Either of the unlocked stories, right? How you narrowly escape thanks to a gift you received along the way, or how the hunters capture you and twist you to their purposes. So Dittany, what will it be?
I think that I narrowly escaped thanks to a gift I received along the way. I think it has to be that when I stand up for this defiant last moment, the cool breeze that's followed me all this way, just like, was that a final gift from my father, who after all had become a living storm?
Mm-hmm.
It blows away all illusions and all fears, and I'm surprised to find that I'm okay.
Yeah, for a moment, it seemed like you were going to just fall facing the hunters here in this inn, and then the wind rises and it restores your sight, right? You see with eyes unclouded for perhaps the first time in a while, really. Perhaps you're seeing not only through the nightmare you threw yourself into, but a little bit through some of that self-pity you've been wallowing in, and you see just a place full of people who've somehow weathered this war, and you still have a companion with you. Largo's right there, looking a little green around the gills, I expect, but as the breeze blows, Largo, your vision is restored as well. There's no more specters lurking around you. That's fantastic. I'm gonna cut away because I'm cognizant of time, so we're gonna drive towards the epilogues here. I guess Lobelius and Gillie, I just need to know, you've run. The inn is definitely safe. You've got this book with you that it seems Nodirian was right, that whatever spell he did is affixed to this book. Once you're a sufficient distance from the inn, and you maybe even feel like a little magical crackle, a little magical crackle around the spell book you're holding, I am interested in knowing, what do you do?
I would be prepared to take a desperate stand, but I don't have to. If you have a better idea.
Gillie looks around for a bird of prey.
Mm-hmm.
And not an owl, or is an owl all right? Because owls are birds of prey, but I know that they're also...
An owl is fine.
Yeah.
Basically, she wants a bird with good gripping claws and enough strength to carry a magic book.
Yeah, we've established there's some owls around here. One does the little whoo, cocks its head, from a nearby branch.
I will warn you, don't use an owl. They go back to the inn. Use something else. We don't want that bird to bring the book back to the inn.
Well, aren't you particular?
I don't want the
I mean,
people
is there
in the
something other than an owl?
Sure, it's the woods. You can cycle through some bird calls till you get a nice. You know what? It's it's a bloodhawk, but it doesn't seem as like, you know, aggro as the bloodhawks that were bedeviling you on the cliffs of Perdition.
Okay. In that case, she will say, well, actually, we're in a big hurry, so she's probably not going to actually tell her story out loud, but she thinks of a time that actually she's going to think back on when she watched Elgrim die. Not the big dramatic one in battle where she fell, but when she actually died later. And how horrible she felt, and hopeless and helpless she felt, and how determined she is that will not happen again. And she will call out to the Bloodhawk and say, "Friend, I need your aid. Your wings are faster than my feet. Great peril follows this book. Take it to the gorge over the hill and drop it inside."
Nice. Yeah, very good. Make for me a roll plus true for wild ways. And you know what? Take advantage on that, because we're you know, coming up on the finale, and so
Okay.
I think you get some, like, you know, you get like a bonus drama dice here.
Okay. And then that's an 11.
You didn't even roll the advantage. You just naturally rolled an 11 on that.
Oh, I thought the advantage was a +1, so I did +2.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That we'll call that a 10 plus either way then.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the Bloodhawk gives a screech that tells you it understands, takes the book in its talons, it goes winging away, and I think that's like the last shot before we go into epilogues. Is, you know, the pulls back, we see the forest, we see the still untouched Treetop Inn, and we see this hawk, you know, zipping over the treetops to bring this book and the danger that follows it far away from the people that could be in peril. And we'll say that, you know, after some more journeying, our companions will reach their hometown of green rolling fields and houses that are covered by plant life, and we'll turn to our epilogues to work on this, to work out, you know, what happens for our characters. You can be a sort of scene or a montage, something that incorporates the different stories you're called on to have. So everyone tells one story of growth. You definitely can include a story of growth no matter what. If you've cleared all your burdens, which I think no one has, you would tell 2 stories of growth. If not, well, for every named burden you still have, you add an element from the stories of amends. And for every unnamed burden you have to add an element from the stories of isolation. So, Lobelius, are you feeling ready to share some epilogue story with us? It can be kind of, you know, it can be sort of like a little vignettes, right? Or like a little montage, if that's what makes the most sense, to incorporate the different
Okay.
you know,
So I got
epilogue elements.
Yeah, I got 1 unnamed burden and 2 named burdens.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I get 1 okay. Let's see, 1 isolation. Fire destroys a book, maybe not. No, but I think what happens as we get home, the first thing that we realize is that the home has crumbled into rot, and that is the inn. The Muckleberry Sparrow has, well, yeah, my sister wasn't able to keep it up alone. She's a lot younger than I am,
Hmm.
and so when I come back, this a lot of it has fallen down. I mean, it was pretty badly damaged before I left. That's why I left, and now as I come home, it's just a ruin, and it's yeah, well, so but you know what? I think yeah, somebody took in my sister family.
Hmm.
They're really nice, and they're farmers basically,
Hmm.
and she seems reasonably happy there. Although let me check. Yeah, but she will confess to me that she has not been very interested in farming, but instead has well, there are a lot of things that have damaged here, and she's been scavenging a little here and a little there, and she found a ton of interesting things. So yeah, I think it's not here. A torn thing is mended. So I think what will happen then is, well, since this farm is big enough, and since we have a bit of stuff, we will maybe get the use of an outhouse for a kind of, not an inn precisely, because we would need a bigger house for that, but you know, a little place where people can buy fresh bread and cakes and things like that.
Hmm.
And yeah, well, and Lobelius will settle into this kind of, yeah, you know, um, he will still be sad when he sees Gilly go by, but that is not meant to happen. And he won't marry or anything. He'll just bake bread and smile at people and try to keep folks safe, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna do.
Very wonderful. Very, very good. Largo, what would we see as far as glimpses of your of what it's like on your homecoming?
Yeah. I think when Elgrim fell, she was put to rest with the hilt of her sword. But the secret pocket full of silver I have are the shards from the blade of her sword, and those will be forged into a gardening tool. And then I have 3 named burdens, and I think I can 2 of them get knocked out at once. Basically, a promise is kept, and the gift is exhausted. And I take the silver strands of her hair and sort of almost sewing them like one per seed, and tilling them with the hoe made from her sword, and that will be that promise kept.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Third one, if it's okay with Dittany, I think I offer to take you and your brother, was it, in. The orphans can come live with me, and we're just gonna do the garden thing for a while and not be see what it's like not being a burglar.
Oh wow, yeah. Dittany's that cool by you. We can get more details on your epilogue, but does that work as a
Yeah, I
detail?
might flesh that out a little bit, but that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Largo.
In my quiet moments, sometimes I think of gardening as stealing from the earth, but I don't tell anyone.
Whatever you have to tell yourself, Largo.
Yeah.
Gilly, what will we see in your epilogue?
So Gilly first does in fact go home. She has a few siblings who are who have weathered the war okay. No one is completely unscarred by it, but everyone's alive and healthy. She's always been considered the odd duck, but but they appreciate what she did, and they seem to have like a new understanding with each other that no, she really does need to, she can't live in the town, she can't settle down, that's just not who she is. But her brother promises to always keep a lantern lit in the window to show that she is always welcome at home, no matter when she arrives.
A fire does not go out in the night.
Indeed. She also is very disturbed by the condition of the land, in particular the natural world. So she goes out with her river water and has a few drops in various places to just sort of help things along. It seems to be able to cure little bits of blight here and there. And really nature, all nature needs is a foothold, and it can take it from there. The one place she is unable to heal is the gorge where the magic book was dropped.
Yes.
That stream bed runs brackish and is a part of the wilderness to be avoided. Evil things are said to lurk there, but that is a different story.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gilly. Dittany, last but not least, what do we see in your epilogue?
So we see the reunion between Dittany and his brother Malaric, and when they meet, a gift is passed on. The breeze that has blown over Dittany all this way home is his brother's now.
Oh man,
and
yeah.
They do go to live with Largo, but there's a tension because Dittany still hasn't told his brother like what happened, his role in his father's death. Finally, the guilt of keeping it bottled up overcomes him, and he does confess everything to his brother and begs his brother for forgiveness. And then the last thing we see is that a heavily padlocked, boarded up door is opened as the brother heads down into the father's old eldritch laboratory.
Oh
where the
no!
dark magical secrets are kept.
Oh
He goes
no!
to nurse his grudge and learn the dark magics.
Oh no! Dun dun dun! This has been Back Again from the Broken Land. Thank you all for playing.
That's awesome. I love it.
For anyone who's been watching, thanks for joining us for this. Remember, you can learn more about Back Again from the Broken Land and order your own copy at the link that I've put below this video. Thank you. Thanks for playing, everybody, and have a wonderful night. Stay safe out there.